Welcome to Blinkers Off with your hosts, Jared Welch and Aaron Halterman.
Hello, what is up? I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. It is Thursday, March 13th, and this is Blinkers Off. What's up, man?
Yeah, what's up? Nice and warmed up. Got one show out of the way today. Ready for another one. I think this will be a good show. We're going to talk a little bit Virginia Oaks, Virginia Derby, of course, big races, and then the bubble horses. It's March Madness. We're going to say, okay, are they going to make it or not? But horse racing version. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and it's the weather. You said it's warming up. Well, it's literally warming up. So the weather is warmed up. It finally feels like spring, which of course comes with that last push towards the Derby. Because I think it's hard. It was kind of hard to I can't believe the Derby's almost here, but there's snow on the ground. Well, feels like Derby season. We are only a few months away from Derby season, and really after this weekend, this is the last calm, so to speak, because from there on out, it's just straight madness. Next weekend is a couple, the Louisiana Derby being the highlight, and then the Florida Derby, Arkansas Derby the next weekend. Then the April 5th is the big final push. So the next 3 weekends after this weekend, it is all hands on deck.
Including the Virginia Derby, just 10 prep races remain. Well, there is one in Japan. I don't count that one, even though it might give us a horse, but just 10 prep races remain. So it's going to be pretty darn cool to see this unfold. And, Ryan Stillman put it to me the other day, and it kind of made sense. He's like, we've kind of been in the quarterfinals and then the last 3 weeks of the semifinals leading up to the main event, the Kentucky Derby. And it does kind of feel like that. Such great racing. Maybe not this week as much, but then starting next week all the way through, it's going to be freaking awesome. And by the way, Sierra Leone's back next weekend at Fairgrounds. That should be exciting as well. So, there's just so much to look forward to. We're really, heating up into the prime time, season for racing.
Yeah, you're starting to see it with the olders as well. Starting to come, like you said, Sierra Leone, and last weekend. Horse of the Year comes back, and
Yep.
Torpedo was awesome, and then of course we've seen Forever Young come back, and it's just it kind of feel Locked was really good in return. There's just so many good horses that are starting. It's just that time of the year, so I guess that's a good. We'll talk a lot about our Kentucky Derby, that kind of stuff. So I don't want to spend too much time on that right now, but just quickly last weekend. What do you think of the Tampa Bay Derby? Are you we'll talk a little bit about the results of that race, because this is Owen Almighty is not necessarily a horse that we're going to talk about on the bubble, because technically he's got 65 points, but in a lot of senses he is a bubble horse, because people were like immediately before the race that was like, well, no matter what, we're going Pat Day, and then that result happened and he wins like he did, and it's like, well, maybe. So where are you leaning on this one?
Oh, I think he's probably better suited for the Pat Day Mile. I think, that's kind of who he is, how he's, kind of bred to do, and how he kind of runs is, 1 turn mile would be pretty darn good for him. I think Owen Almighty's a really, really good horse. I really do. I just don't know that the Derby is where you're going to see him at his best. And I think they'll end up running him in it. I don't blame him. I think if it was mine, that's probably the decision I would make as well. Yeah. But it is what it is, right? It's one of those things where the talking heads like us are going to sit here and say, I don't think he can go that far. But listen, you said it. He's not a bubble horse. He's in. If they want to run, they don't even have to start him again. He's in the gate, and that's tough to say no to. So, but look, as far as Tampa Bay Derby goes, he was super impressive. I think Chad Brown horses will get better next out. I still don't know how good they are, though. Hill Road and Chancellor Patrick. But, look, Owen Almighty was fantastic.
I do think that you can use part of you's like, it's almost nice that he's in, because you don't, and I'll probably put him in the winner's circle, but that's one horse you don't have to worry about in the Derby, because literally the trainer said he was still in the winner's circle, and the trainer after the race was like, we're still going Pat Day. But he also said, we'll talk to the owners and stuff. So it's clear. And again, I'm with you. I don't necessarily fault them. If it was our horse, you and I would be like, we're going to the Derby. I don't care if he could only go 6 furlongs. We're going to the Derby.
Yeah.
And so I don't necessarily blame it, but the trainer literally, who, Brian Lynch knows what he's doing. I think you can kind of say, okay, well, he's not going to have it. He's not a horse that I'm going to use to win.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of helps, I think, a little bit with the handicapping. If he does run in the Derby, that's one horse you don't have to worry about.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that for sure. I just, if he wins, it's like I just couldn't have got there going a mile and a quarter, and you just kind of throw your hands up a little bit. I thought Paul made a really good point earlier in the week when he said, not only, can Owen Almighty, go to the Derby and maybe be competitive for a little bit, but he might turn for home with the lead. And you go, think of the feeling of an owner turning for home with the lead in the Kentucky Derby. And that's the other thing. And he's right. He's probably going to be in a great position where he's going to give you a thrill for a while until, the real running begins. And then it's going to be a little bit questionable. But
do you think that owners, I mean, I think I know the answer to this. I think it's pretty obvious, but don't you think that, like, because of the way this race has been ran the last, we've talked about it on the show, the kind of the oddball, some of the oddball winners, that when you do have a horse that seemingly on paper, or the experts say, or whatever, does not belong in the race, you're kind of like, well, I mean, did Rich strike? Like, did he have much of a chance? No, I mean, he wasn't even in the race until a couple days before. So I think when you have those kind of outlier performances that we've had lately, that you kind of like, well, I mean, even like a horse like Country House, I mean, probably didn't think he would win, even though he didn't win, but you know what I'm saying? But like, so if you have a chance, the horse is eligible to run. The horse, like you said, should get a very favorable trip. Whether it gets him far enough, we'll see. I'm almost talking myself into running them, because at first I was like, not, and then like, well, like, might as well, right?
You hit it right on the head. It's a horse race. You never know what's going to happen. And look, you train maybe not train, because, he seems to kind of have more of a logical approach, but you own horses to run in big races. Like, even horses that I've had a piece of, we're trying to, it's a goal of, okay, not the Derby, obviously for us, are big stakes, but it's like, can we get a big horse to go and maybe run an allowance race at Keeneland? How cool would that be, type of thing? So you have those goals. And for this horse, I mean, the Derby had to become reality right when he broke his maiden. It's like, wow, that's a goal. He can do this. He looks really, really good. It would just be so hard, I think, as an owner to say, we are sitting here, the horse earned his way in. He has 65 points.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do it. I just don't think that's a reality. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you. And like you said, yes, it's a long way to answer your question. You look at some of the quote unquote improbable winners. Why can't Owen Almighty turn for home and just keep going? Maybe he can. Maybe there's a lot of traffic behind him and he's able to hold him off. I mean, anything can happen. And I think that's, you're in it to win races like that. So I get it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's no, who's to say that you couldn't hold on for a piece of it or something?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
To me, it's like, would you rather hit the board in the Derby or finish or win the Pat Day? I think I'd rather hit the board in the Derby, honestly.
I would. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't necessarily fault it. Again, he's kind of, like you said, he's earned his way in. They have points races, and there he is. So we'll talk a little bit about the at least one of the runner-ups in that race here coming up. Anthony wants to know how long for racing returns to Elmont. I think it's not this year, right? It's next year.
Yeah, it'll be next year. Next year's Belmont meet is where the target is. They're going to hopefully run next year's Belmont Stakes there. With these, I mean, this is a major construction project, so we may not see that get hit. There's already kind of rumors that it might be even longer. So I think next year at some point we'll see it, but I don't think they know for sure. And if you don't know what's going on, it's a total remake. The whole grandstands needs to be rebuilt. They're putting in a synthetic track. I mean, there's a lot going on there. So you got to be patient. Here's what I'll tell you. When it opens, it's going to be unbelievable. But it takes a while to build all that stuff.
It's the future of racing, really. I mean, at least the future of racing, out there. Compared other than Saratoga, which, by the way, will be hosting once again the Belmont this year. So a reminder that it's a mile and eighth race this year. Again,
mile and a quarter.
I'm sorry, mile and a quarter, not a mile and a half. I just knew it was shorter, but mile and a half race, not the mile and a half race, mile and a quarter. So it's like, I mean, that wasn't a concern last year because no one had a chance for the Triple Crown, but that
right,
I don't know. Maybe this year. I don't know. We got some better horses. So
it's I think we've got a possibility because of what you just said. We got some really nice horses. Now, who knows what they'll look like first Saturday? Maybe right now they look good. And kind of the trend we've been seeing, if you win the Derby, that Preakness field has not been that tough the last few years. We just haven't had a horse good enough to go do it again, but the opportunity has been there. So if we get a really good winner, I could see the Preakness getting one as well, and it might be on the line this year.
Yeah, exactly. Think about the fact that Sierra Leone didn't win either one of those races, last year. And
I know. It's crazy.
How about that? Yeah, exactly. And the horse, never mind.
Well, and in the Belmont, he wasn't even close. I mean, he got third, but he was never a threat to win.
Yeah, in fact, you were like, okay, you almost were like, the Kentucky Derby was kind of fluky. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's not that good after the Belmont. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then even after the Travers, you're like, well, okay, he's just that kind of horse. Yep. He's just the horse that's going to bang up there and get second or third every single time.
Yep.
Then he wins the Classic. So,
go figure.
Horses change. What do you think about the return of Torpedo Anna? Were you impressed? Were you lackluster? Did you think it was exactly what she needed to do coming back?
Yeah, I thought it was perfect return. I think you knew first out she wasn't going to be fully cranked up. And, I mean, it was a workmanlike effort, a paid workout, as they say. And I think it sets her up, nicely for the next start. And obviously you absolutely understand that. Look, she's going to have to be faster in her next race for sure, but she's going to be. This was just the beginning of it. I think Apple Blossom's next. I guarantee you she'll be 1-9 in that one. So she, I thought she was good. It's what you wanted to see.
Yeah, I know some people were talking about the number being lower and whatever, but it's like, she's cruised. And honestly, what more did she need to do? And really, that number is going to win her most races this year, especially against that class until these 3-year-old. I really think until these 3-year-old fillies start to develop, which might be the later half of the year. So I don't know who in her division can test her at especially the way. I don't think she is. I was thinking about this the other day because they were doing a lot of comparisons to Rachel, obviously for good reasons. She's not as good as Rachel, but she is as smart as Rachel was. Like she just is. She knows how to win race. She knows where the wire is. You can just tell she's very tactical in every race. She does enough to win. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like even when you go back and look at the Travers, or you're like, well. She stepped up her level, right? She did enough. Well, she didn't do quite enough, but she was right there to do enough. It's like, oh shit, I gotta go. She's just been that kind of horse to put her in position in every race. So I think her head is what gets her is what makes her such a good horse.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think we kind of saw it last year too, right? Like you're kind of alluding to that class that she was in last year. She was just way better than, and she would just kind of cruise around there. There wasn't a whole lot of get up and really exert yourself until they absolutely had to have her do it in the Travers. And then everybody's looking around like, whoa, where did that number come from? It's like, well, if you watched her races, you knew that she really wasn't leaving first gear most of the time. So the numbers are going to be pretty low when you're not really trying, right? So, and that was kind of the story of her season last year. It seems to me they're going to try to do the same exact thing this year. Win a bunch of races, get her to pop when we really need her to.
Yeah, where that race ends up. We'll find out. I agree, Jared. He says as much shit as we like to give him a peek sometimes, he's done such a great job with her, is keeping her sound and happy. And I mean, he is like literally has done nothing wrong with her at all. And obviously it helps to have a horse this good. But I've honestly, I've grown to respect him and respect his game more over the course of her kind of career, so to speak. The last year, let's say, just the way he's handled her.
I thought he should have been the trainer of the year last year because I think he did such a great job with really all of the horses, but her specifically. And then the trying to go to the Travers and trying to take on the boys and making horse racing a bigger deal because he tried to do things like that. I think he should have been the trainer of the year. I really do. I've been as critical as anybody about him, but last year he did everything great.
Well, we'll see what he does with her this year. Like I said, it helps having a horse like her, but it certainly the way that he kind of stepped up and like you said, he made that Travers into this
Oh yeah.
just an unbelievable day,
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, kind of said, okay, we're not, we know we got a good one. Let's get her to the Breeders' Cup and made that day even higher because of knowing the Horse of the Year was on the line, kind of thing.
Yep.
So yeah, really, and she keeps it going. So I'll be rooting for her. Hopefully, we do see her either to be the Whitney or even the Classic would be sick. So we'll find out, obviously. But yeah, Apple Blossom might be a little bit of a Zenyatta type. Kind of almost like just a let her go around and see the crowd, compared to a competitive race. So
Yep.
that'll be the other aspect to it this year. It's like you saw with Zenyatta. I mean, who wants to run against her? So she's the fields will be smaller and maybe not as good of horses because who's gonna want to go against her?
Yep. Tell you that Apple Blossom, it's been really, really good over the years. Sometimes you do get a little bit of a star-studded matchup, but to your point, originally when we started talking about this, who's a star in this division other than her?
Yeah,
there isn't. Nobody's there, so we'll see.
Yeah, it honestly, I love they interviewed him after the race, and he was just like he like because Jared, like you said, like he's not afraid to take big swings, and because I think so because he's like, yeah, I mean, listen, it's horse racing. She's gonna get beat at some point. I don't know when. I mean, we won't know when, right? But all I can do is get her in the races and get her in the best kind of mindset and ability or condition when we get there. But like he's like, it's horse racing. She'll lose eventually, and so it's like he's not afraid to take those swings because he knows that's the reality of the game. So I do have a lot of respect for that. So, all right, guys, let's get into today's show. We're going to look at Saturday's Kentucky Derby and Kentucky Oaks prep races at Colonial Downs. That's right. We're going to Colonial Downs for the Virginia Derby and the Virginia Oaks. Then we're going to give some bubble horses, the top our 5 Kentucky Derby bubble horses, and whether or not we think they're going to make the starting gate the first Saturday of May. Let's go. Yeah, stay, Anthony. I think you're the one asked about it. Maybe Sandman. We'll talk a little about Sandman here coming up. So
yeah,
I wanted to hold off on that. So that's a horse that may or may not make the bubble edition. So I think it's a pretty solid bubble horse, honestly.
Sandman. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in this game, but I think Arkansas just lost at the buzzer. I was following the scores. I think they lost at the buzzer.
Ugh. Great.
Yeah.
Kind of needed to win.
No, I think they're in, but
you think so?
Yeah. Yeah.
They should be. I mean, I think they're good enough to win.
I think they're in.
But yeah, they lost.
Yep.
All right, Saturday at Colonial Downs. We're going to kick things off with race number 8. That's the Virginia Oaks. It's a $250,000 race. None of these are graded, but we do have Oaks points on the line, 50, 25, 15, 10, and 5 for your top 5 finishers. And, Halterman, like, it's a field of 8. Not necessarily the top fillies running. We'll talk kind of the same situation with the boys. But someone in this race is going to get enough points to make it to the Kentucky Derby. So what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, this is kind of one we don't need to take a ton of time on it. These horses aren't great. They're kind of the also rans as far as, facing some better horses, like the 3 Go Wells Delight lost a good cheer last out. Obviously that's a nice horse, but she lost by 6 1/4. So, all these you can poke holes through them. I went number 6. You'll be back. I just felt like this we're stretching out to 1.16 miles. We saw her 2 races back at a mile run pretty well. 3 races back, she was to break the maiden going 6 furlongs. So she's versatile. I think she can get the lead in this spot. I like that as well. I'm not sitting here saying this is a really good horse, but I think this is a really nice spot. I'm hoping she takes some gate to wire. So I went 6. She'll be back, but it's not a confident pick at all.
I think it's worth mentioning on this certain track configuration.
Yeah.
We're talking 1 turn mile 16th and 1 turn mile and 8th. So
Yep.
that's going to help, seemingly help horses that maybe don't necessarily want to go quite this long, but that 1 turn might help a little bit with these kind of horses. So I think you do see that with really both fields of horses that maybe aren't necessarily going to go that super,
Yeah.
they may not, especially with the, the Derby side, probably not going to want to go mile and a quarter, but mile and 8th, 1 turn mile and 8th, maybe get that. So again, mile 16th, going 1 turn. Honestly, dude, I have like almost zero feel for this one, and on it, I don't. I mean, look at the odds.
Yeah.
There's not a single horse over 10-1.
It reminded me of, and that, I don't think I'm not calling these horses claiming horses, but it kind of reminded me of a claiming race, handicapping into the fact that some horses have been at this level and haven't won. Some horses have been at a higher level and have ran like shit, but now they're dropping back to like this level. Some are moving up. Like it's a mishmash, and you don't see that a ton in a stakes race.
Having said that, I'm gonna go with the 1, Icona Mama. This horse kind of has ran races in the past. Last race, the last 2 really weren't terrible efforts, but I've kind of you mentioned smaller tracks, but look at the races prior. I mean, this horse ran 2nd at Saratoga, finished in the Pocahontas, finished less than a length behind Lucara and Lima in the Dust. In the grade 3 Pocahontas, so Frizette was not good. But the last 2, have been decent, just maybe needs a little bit more. But this is a horse to me that just maybe can get a nice forward position, has been training well, it looks like. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and like make up reasons why I feel like this is a horse that's got a little bit of upside and is going to be okay going a little bit longer. So, give me the 1, but at 8-1, it's second highest choice in the race, Halterman.
I could see it. You said it ran pretty well 2 back. Last time out was okay. It's just as good a chance as any of them.
I mean, the races none of them have been eye popping. Even the Pocahontas, I thought the Pocahontas was probably her best effort. The number wasn't as high as some of her other numbers, but the Pocahontas, she kind of ran the race that I would hope she would run here. Now she was 30-1 that day. And she didn't win, but she kind of ran off the pace a little bit, but made a run, and obviously just ran Lucara against a better horse. But if she can kind of run that similar type of tactical trip, gets John Velasquez on the mount, I think she's in there with a shot. So I just felt better playing a horse like that at 8-1 than I do playing. I mean, name one,
Yeah.
Do I think she's the most here's the thing. Do I think she's the most likely winner? No, I don't. I mean, if you want to make the most likely winner, it's probably the one you picked or, Gal's Delight or something. But
maybe
I don't really want to pick either one of those. So give me the 1. I have zero interest in this race whatsoever as it relates to the Kentucky Oaks. So I don't know how you feel too.
The winner's coming out of this for sure now.
For sure. Well, I hope Icona Mama. You guys heard it here first.
Yeah, there you go.
The Pennsylvania bred is going to win the Kentucky Oaks.
Literally, most people probably just heard the name for the first time ever. Yeah, on the show.
Honestly, I'll be honest. I just like that name.
Yeah.
It's a cool name. Yeah. So let's go to the main event, so to speak. Well, really, it is the main event on Saturday as far as the Derby and Oaks races go. It's the only one in the Derby. Race 9, the Virginia Derby, $500,000 going a mile and 8 for 3-year-olds. And we got a field of 10 lined up here, Ultra. This one's a little bit more top heavy, certainly than that last race. 9-5 on getaway car. John Hancock is 3-1, is going to scratch out of the race. I texted you earlier whenever I was handicapping it, and obviously you'd already handicapped it, and I was like, man, if John Hancock would have ran in this race, that's an easy, in my opinion, it would have been an easy single. But probably for good reason, scratching out of a race like this and running a bigger one.
Yeah.
But scratching out of here, Rapture, kind of the other now, Brad Cox, going to be bet down from that 5-1 morning line. But it's kind of the getaway car versus Rapture. And then if you want to pick someone else, go for it.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think it's a 2-horse race, and I'm with you. I think John Hancock would have been a really good looking horse in this one. Yeah, look, I went with Rapture for the main reason of I think the price is going to be better, and I am just questionable a mile and an eighth on Getaway Car. I just don't know. I think it could go either way. I think it's a coin flip between those two. So if it's a coin flip, I got to go with the one that's a little bit higher price than Rapture. So I put the 7 Rapture on top here. I'm with you. It seems like a 2-horse race to me. I do think the number 8 Authentic Gallop, if those 2 horses just don't do well at a mile and an eighth, I do think he will enjoy the stretch out. I just don't think he's very good, and that's the problem with him. But I went 7 Rapture on top.
Oh man, I have a lot to say about this race actually. So I'm trying to. So Getaway Car obviously is a horse that I'm hoping wins for us, Kevin. But I don't necessarily. I don't think he's very good. And I think and I don't think it's like an opinion. He's in the race, right? So it's Bob Baffert, and he's in the race. And really, if you can go back, I went back and looked at the Sunland Derby, and to see kind of the horses. And again, it's hard. It's a little more tricky now because the timing of the Sunland Derby has changed. Usually it was like the late ladder of the preps. Now it was kind of earlier. But the point kind of remains the same. It's Baffert hasn't ever really sent his good ones, and I would even say like decent ones, to the Sunland Derby. It's mostly been horses that he thinks could want to maybe steal that race, but not much after. So, in fact, there's only been 4 now with Getaway Car, but the 3 previous ones won a runner in 2006. Didn't do anything after that.
No.
Governor Charlie actually ran in the Preakness, but was terrible.
I remember him.
You remember that horse?
Yeah.
And then Chateau, I think that was the name.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
So that horse actually ran in the Derby and ran 9th. So, split the field really after what these are Sunland Derby Baffert winners. So
yeah,
I didn't go through and look at like the Baffert horses that ran in the race and didn't win, but just the Baffert winners. And I think it's worth mentioning. I think the way I looked at Getaway Car, I think he's a lot like Chateau. Like, I don't think that horse was great, but the horse got to the Derby, ran second in the Robert B. Lewis to Candy Boy prior to the Sunland Derby. Because again, the Sunland Derby was later that year. So, he was a nice horse, like nice enough, but he wasn't obviously great. I kind of look at the Getaway Car a little bit like that. I don't think he's a bad horse. I don't know that he's necessarily, I know he's not Barnes or Citizen Bull, those kind of horses. So all that being said, a long way to say, like, I just don't feel good about betting him here because I just don't think he's very good. Like, can he win? Sure. Would not be surprised at all if he won, but there's a reason why he's in this race and not say, the San Diego Derby.
I really didn't think we were going to talk about Chateau today, but
put that on your bingo board if you had that, guys.
And I really didn't think I would hear Getaway Cars a lot like Chateau and go, he's absolutely right. They're like identical horses. So, Chateau, if you don't remember him, guys, he was kind of that horse. You don't have to even look him up. Just look at Getaway Car. Pretty similar. Look, but here's what I'll say. How good did you have to be to win this race? Get to the front and hope that you can just hold on and like, what's going to catch you? I think Rapture's got a good chance, obviously, to catch him. After that, it's like, I think you can hold off Authentic Gallop, even if you're not very good, right? Yeah. Admiral Dennis did. So I think Getaway Car can,
Well, and shit, dude. I mean, listen, like the horse in the last 4 starts has ran in 2 grade 1s. Really, 3 of them could be grade 1s, but really has run more than that. But I'm just saying, his last 4, the Futurity was grade 1 as well. The American Pharaoh finished second to who? Citizen Bull, who's 1 or 2. Baffert. The race prior, runs in the juvenile to Citizen Bull and Gaming. Hill Road came back and ran okay. Yep. The Los Al Futurity, who did he get beat by? Well, Journalism, who's clear number 1 horse at the moment, finished second to Journalism, and then he won last time out. So it's not like he's a bad horse. He's ran some good. He's ran against he's ran against horses that are way better. Let's put it that way.
Look, if somebody other than Baffert had him, he would be their best horse in the barn. Like if say like a Lucas or somebody like a middle. Not that Lucas is a Hall of Famer, but he's kind of a middling trainer now. Like, they would love to have him, but Getaway Car compared to the other horses just doesn't seem other horses in his own barn. I should say he just doesn't. You can't get excited about him because the other ones are so good, and he's just him.
I mean, I, I think he's gonna. I think he's got a solid chance to win. Getaway Car does here. He just needs to finish really top 2, which is gonna be interesting if they. Because if he finishes top 2, he's in. He's already in the Derby at this point. But if you finish top 2, he's definitely in. But if he say he finishes second, and it's a very clear like, mile and eighth, man, that was dicey. He's in, but they may not go that route. Especially when you got Barnes, you got Citizen Bull, and you've got multiple horses that are aiming for Baffert. Like, I don't know that they would really want to. Why would you, right?
I think because you might need some blockers, right? So Paul and I are talking about this. It's like, okay,
pace, yeah.
He said, look, because Bob Baffert's really been bragging on journalism, he's so good, blah blah blah. Well, how do you beat him? Get 4 or 5 in the race and just try to mess with him,
Mm-hmm.
So that could be what they try. I don't know, but maybe that's a reason why, right?
Well, all that being said, I am going to try to beat him based on the price. I went with your horse, actually, Authentic Gallop, and mostly because
he's gross, dude.
Mostly because I just am on the mindset of, okay, I'm playing Colonial Downs here. I'm not picking favorites. So he's my long shot, and I really don't want to bet the 6 or the 7 because I do think the Rapture is going to be bet pretty hard because the other one's not in there. Authentic Gallop I thought that last race was okay and ran well. He ran in mile 16th race the last 4 times and won 2 of them. The other 2 were not good, so that's fair. No. But I do think if he gets a nice little, if he can get a nice little position and be forwardly placed, he would be kind of one of the first runners, so to speak, to be attacking, Getaway Car or Rapture. He's going to have to be good enough. But that last number was 10 points higher than anything he's gotten in the past. So if he can use that number to kind of springboard into the next one, I think he's got a chance.
I think I shouldn't say I think. I am confident he will be good at this distance. Like, I think this is going to be fine for him. It's pretty painful to watch him run sometimes. Well, he's not very fast. So.
They're gonna have to come back to him. Let's put it that way. That's kind of the mindset I have in the race. I don't, Rapture. I think he'll be all right. He's certainly probably bred to do that. But Getaway Car. Getaway Car, to be fair, is bred to go long.
Yeah.
But he hasn't really shown that he wants to go longer. So, if these horses do get a little weary late in the race, and 8 wants to go get him, then I think he's got a chance to upset at a big price. Yeah. This horse will probably get completely overlooked because of the Baffert in the race and Rapture, Brad Cox and having Lucas in there and whoever, I just think this horse might be kind of overlooked. Now, past that, we kind of mentioned Getaway Car. Is there much in this race that you could say after you're like, whoa, like that horse might be kind of sneaky?
No, I think I have a hard time coming up with one. I really do. I think Calling Card, we've seen who he is. American Promise, I just can't. Omaha, he's just been beaten by too many horses that just aren't very good. I like Render Judgment, maybe, but I keep thinking he may come around. He kind of has a look of a McPeak that might run well one day, but I don't know. Like, his races just haven't been very good. So, no, is the only way I can really answer it.
Well, the other thing too that makes this race really hard is the timing of it, right? I mean, what do you do next with him? With whoever wins?
Anybody?
Because
like,
you don't really want to. Do you want to sit him on the bench for 6 weeks? Or
you could maybe run in the Lexington, maybe.
I mean, it's like 7 weeks, really, I guess. But I mean, or do you want to run them back quicker? Do you want to? I mean, I don't know. It's a weird timing for the race for these horses in the race, and so I don't know what it's been. Horses don't win off those kind of layoffs going in the Derby. They just don't.
No.
And then on top of that, you're talking about a race that really they aren't that great, anyways. So I don't know. That's a whole. I guess some of them are just they don't care, just get in the race. So
Yep.
But final pick here, you're going with who?
I'm going to go number 7, Rapture.
All right, I'll go number 8, Authentic Gal. We're both picking against the horse in my heart, and I know Kevin's heart wants to win the most, number 6, Getaway Car. We'll see who's the goods here, at least good enough to win this one on Saturday. Kevin, just so you know, I told Halterman, I was like, maybe we should just start a group text with the 3 of us, because every time you message me something, I send it to him. I'll be like yesterday, I was like, hey, apparently Disco Time is still back on track, or going to make it, trying to make a run for this to get in the Derby. And he's like, yeah, I already found out. So
His
like,
number 1 fan already texted me. So.
Just assume if he's text you, he's text me too. So I said, well, what, we should just start a group text. And he said, well, then I won't get involved. Then I'll have to know about your secrets. I said, I don't think there are any secrets. I mean, apparently you tell him everything.
I know all. Yeah. No, Kevin is Disco Time. That he loves that horse, and you love Barnes. So you guys, and both of you hate Getaway Car by the sounds of it. So
yeah, well, that's he is, it's like he is. Kevin is like with Showcase is like a kid, like my kid with a $1 bill. Like he is so ready. He's burning a hole in his pocket. He wants to get rid of every single good horse that comes around. He's like, hey, Showcase, what about, can we get rid of that one yet? Like, nope, not yet. Not yet. So there you go. Yeah, we all love Caldera. That's a nice little feather in the cap there as well, that we have that horse. It's going to seemingly run in about 6 more races between now and June. So
you love him because he's on your team. Shoddy loves him because she owns a piece of him. I love him because Caldera equals page views. So yeah. I hope that horse keeps doing well and runs all year, because anytime we put out a video about Caldera, you got him. You got the My Racehorse people.
No shit, man. It's not really a surprise, because like, just think of any type of article or any type of race that exists where there's a My Racehorse. How do they get bet?
Yep.
Every single time. And so it doesn't really surprise me that these horses, that the page views do so well. So
yep, I love it.
I don't know. We'll see, Kevin. You can't tell me who to pick. So
a little fight between the loving couple.
I bet you text back better than I do, though. So
I would 100% say that's true.
Yeah, that's probably why he's resorted to texting you. So he's like, at least he knows you'll respond in a timely pay. Like, by the time I respond, the claiming process is over.
Let's say you got to the bottom of it right there.
Like, oh well, shit. I guess we're not claiming him after. So then I just changed my tune and be like, nah, I didn't really want to claim him.
Didn't want him anyway.
So, yeah, I didn't really like him. All right, guys. So we've mentioned a few horses already in the chat here that we are going to talk about here coming up. So just stay tuned. With just weeks left of the Kentucky Derby prep season, we kind of had a little fun here with it being the middle of March, and of course we are in the March Madness season with the tournaments, the conference championships and stuff going on right now. But then, of course, the March Madness happening in the next few weeks. We thought, let's do some bubble horse action. That's the name of the game this time of the year, the bubble teams. Well, let's do some bubble horses that either maybe in the gate as of now, but with the final preps looming, will they make the gate after maybe poor performances? Where are they going to go next? Are they still in the consideration for the Derby? I came up with 5. I think these are solid 5 between horses that are decent, horses that have some interesting characteristics, kind of about their path to get there, and just horses that are somewhat popular in the kind of in the minds of the betting public. So we'll kick things off with let's go down. Actually, you know what? Let's go bottom to top. So let's start with like kind of the ones that are really on the bubble. And that would start with the horse we just mentioned, Caldera at 33, currently at 33 with 10 points. This is a horse that, ran second to Getaway Car last out, as we mentioned, Getaway Car. Possible seems like, and again, I went and looked at all the kind of the quote unquote possible / probables. Seems like Louisiana Derby is going to be up next for Caldera. What do you think here, Halterman? This is a horse that's trained by Dwayne Lucas. So anytime he trains one, you got to think that he is going to do literally every single thing he can do to get this horse in the gate.
Well, I was going to say, so when you're analyzing bubble teams, you look at what have they done, what do they have to do, and what's left for them. And so you have to do that with the horses as well. And what's left for Caldera is the Louisiana Derby. And if he doesn't run very well, probably the Bluegrass. That's why he's going to Louisiana, just in case they need to get another race to get in. So I think Caldera is going to get in because I think he has the most favorable schedule because his trainer's going to get him there by any way possible. If Caldera doesn't get in, it just truly means he wasn't good enough because he will get the opportunities.
Yeah, if you see there on the screen, Louisiana Derby next weekend, March 22nd. If for whatever reason he does not run well and needs to run another race, you've got really, depending on where he finishes, you got April 5th, the Bluegrass, or even the Lexington.
Yeah,
that could, if it's just like a small amount of points, he could even do that April 12th. But that, again, that's a big reason why we claimed him, because it's like, hey, listen, when he's trained by Dwayne, you're going to get every opportunity to get him in the gate. And I'll be honest, I think he's, Getaway Car's performance this weekend might help a little bit with kind of the opinion of Caldera. Because I think if he runs well, you're like, well, or if Getaway Car runs well this weekend and Caldera is like, okay, hey, like honestly, when I watched that race, when I went into the race, wasn't a big believer. I didn't necessarily think, I thought he was fine, but you know what I mean? But I didn't think he was like, but the way he ran that race and kind of off of his, the standard style he had ran and really did everything but win that race. I left that race impressed. I thought, man, he's just getting going. He was getting better as that race went on. And so I think a lot of Caldera, I think he's got a big time chance. Not really ready to win. I mean, who knows? It's Dwayne, but to get in for sure. I like his chances. So I would say, if we're going to go through each one of these, say, do you think he's going to get in or out? I think he's in.
Yep. Agree.
All right, let's go to the next one then. Okay, we're in agreement with the first one. Let's see if we keep going. This one, we might be in agreement on this one too, but for the opposite reasons. Just a few ranks up, number 31, East Avenue, also with 10 points. Came back, was not good. Like, beyond not good. He was very bad. With no excuses. Possible seems like Bluegrass up next for him. Last resort, obviously, with 10 points. That's one that you're like, with the Caldera, you're like, hey, we have a safety net. If we don't run well in Louisiana, let's try one more. Bluegrass is it, man. This is a last-ditch effort to get in. Where are you at with this one?
Him and I have had a hard breakup. One of those just cut him loose. You delete the number, you delete all the socials, and you'd never want to see him or hear from him again. So he's a no for me because, look, the Breeders' Cup, you could talk about it and you could be like, well, he had a valid excuse and that's fair. Well, I mean, last time out, and look, maybe he doesn't win the race, but to just quit like that.
Yeah.
Whew, I can't. No, I'm going to say no. Like you said, he's going to go to the Bluegrass. I mean, who's to say he can't win that race, right? His best effort might be able to do it. He did win a big race there in Kentucky, or at Keeneland, I should say, as a 2-year-old, but boy, he's back on the you got to prove it to me bandwagon. I mean, in the same shit, he's working out great. Everything looks great, but he's going to have to prove it to me. No, for me. Hard breakup.
I mean, we've got multiple horses that were drafted in the first round that are just bums, right? At least as of now. And, who knows, maybe he'll figure it out. That's the thing about him that's so frustrating is I feel like he's got talent, Yeah. And it's just, he broke well last time, so he didn't have a lot of excuses in that last race. That was a disappointment. Part of you wants to say, well, he's a cheap horse. Like, if he can get to the lead and he can get everything his own way, then sure he can. But man, he kind of had everything his own way last time out, and just now, then you also have the excuse built in. It's his first race back. Let's see, give him another try. I don't know. I'm an out on him. I don't. Plus, you gotta think too. The Bluegrass is gonna be salty.
It's gonna be. There's gonna be horses that pick up their feet in the stretch. So that lets him out, right? So
yeah, that hurts his chances off the bat, right?
Yeah, I mean that's just it. Like, look, I know it's in there. And that's what makes me mad about it. Some of these horses, you pick them or you like them, and you were just wrong. They just weren't very good. This horse, it's a mental thing. That horse is pretty good. He just can't put it together. So maybe he can in the bluegrass, but I can't get involved with him anymore.
All right, next up, this is a very hot topic horse as of late. Our next one here is Barnes. I don't know. He's a tricky one because look at it. He's sitting there at 23. He's only going to get lower in the number here as we wait for his next start, as these big point races start to come out. He's at 18.75, and the reason it's because of that of the weird number is because the horse scratched the lower field number in the last race in the San Felipe made this thing, whatever. So the points got knocked down a little bit. 18.75. Sanity Derby or Arkansas Derby. Probably Arkansas Derby is what's seemingly going to be for his next start. But it's such a weird horse because in one side you have like this might be Baffert's best horse. This might be the horse that could win the Kentucky Derby. Whatever you want to say. On the other side, you're like, but also he needs to get points or he's not even in the gate right now, which is kind of rare to see with the horse. You don't often see that with the Baffert horse, like both of those things being true.
I think he's going to make it because I think it's really smart. They're going to send him out to Arkansas. And Arkansas Derby, Bob Baffert, he's going to be in front, turning for home. I just kind of feel like he's going to win. I just kind of feel like he's going to make it. Good spot for him. Like I said, I just think he's better than those Arkansas horses. And even if he's not and he gets second, well, he could still get in. He's got to just run 1-2 basically. So I think he's in. I think he's going to make it.
Yeah, he's in. I mean, I don't see any way how he's not in, honestly, unless he just completely does. I mean, he ran the race he ran in a loss to Journalism last out was enough to beat the hell out of any of these Oaklawn horses. So
yes,
I mean, let's be honest. So as long as he comes back in that same fashion, I don't see how he loses, or at least doesn't finish 1-2, and obviously that would be enough to get you in the gate.
Yeah,
I don't know, like this, but it's a huge race for him, for me, for anyone that likes him, because the last race you can be like, well, like first time going 2 turns, he ran against what is pretty consensus top horse right now, like going into the Derby, like Journalism. I mean, ran an incredible number. Barnes ran an incredible number in defeat. So there's a lot of like he lost, but kind of situation. You know what I mean? The Arkansas Derby there's no buts. Like you either win or you just aren't very good, because Baffert brings horses in that race in the Arkansas Derby to win. And with that kind of hype, with that kind of race that he ran in the San Felipe, honestly, dude, he might make it in a second place effort, but I will be completely off of him if he does.
True. I agree. I think he needs to win that race. I'm with you.
Yeah, and it's going to be fun too, because you do have a little Cole Battle versus Barnes possible in that, which is a good measuring stick, right, between those kind of West Coast and that Central Division. And then you also, on the flip side, you've got what is Citizen Bull to Journalism. How are those comparing? And so you get such a couple really good. It's kind of hard to sometimes get those measuring stick races before the Derby. So we do get a little bit of preview with those in those next starts.
Yeah, that's what's going to make that so much fun. It's so intriguing. I feel like we've got a lot of questions answered already, and I think we're just going to get even more through the last round of preps as well. So that's what makes that a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, it's a big race for Cole Battle too, because if he does run like a distant second or third to Barnes, then you're like, well, nice horse, but kind of proven right. Like he's just not that level, like Kentucky Derby might be a little much for him. On the flip side, if he goes and chases down Barnes, you're like, oh, okay, well, he might be pretty damn good. It'd be a big time threat that first Saturday in May. So Barnes for me is in. I think he gets enough points. I don't think he's a bubble horse after his next start. All right, next to another horse that should be starting in his next start in the Arkansas Derby is the aforementioned Sandman. So 29 points currently for Sandman, and I mean, I had to use him because he's just been such a. I mean, he's the Tappet Trice of this year in a lot of ways. He just finds ways to, well, go longer. He'll be a little bit better. And, he has, if he just would get out of his own way, he would be really, really good. But yet here we are. He's sitting at 12th with 29 points. Really just needs a second place finish as well to get into the gate. What are you at with Sandman?
Yeah, I think third might even get him in, and that's why I would say yes. I think he's going to make it. I just feel like he's one of those horses where you're going to look down and be like, yeah, of course he made it. He's hit the board in these races, and he kind of took the tough way to make it. He didn't win one of the big ones, but he just kept running well enough. So I think he's going to make it. I'm with you. Like, I think the talent's there. I think he's got it, and I think he's, talent-wise at least, I think he's good enough. But just mentally, he's a worrisome horse, and I can't see it getting better in a race like the Kentucky Derby. But I do think he's going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I kind of debated between putting Birdham Square or Sandman in this spot because I think both of them are pretty similar in terms of, like, I think both of them probably will get in, but I don't necessarily like either one of them in the race itself. Sandman, I just have way too much. I feel like I know this horse better than he knows himself. I've lived this life before, and it's like this is what I know. I'm not gonna fall. I bet him last time, and that was me just having a little bit of a weakness, right? A little backtracking, but I'm not doing that anymore, and I know what he is, and I think he's an okay horse. I just don't like his style, and I think he's just a little bit too dumb, honestly, to at this point. See, now I might be going too far. The Tappet Trice, hey, but point is, I like him to get in. I don't like him in the Derby.
Yep, fair.
But I definitely think, I mean, if he runs well in the Derby, I mean, in the Arkansas Derby, win or lose, second runs up for second, whatever. This is going to be the hype, like the wise guy horse of the Derby. No doubt about it.
Dude, he already is. I was on a VSiN 2 weekends ago with Patrick and Dustin, and somebody, like, in their live chat, we were talking about racing just in passing, and they were like, look out for Sandman, he's the one.
Why do people like him?
I don't know.
Because it's not, it's Mark Casse. It's not like it's like Baffert or something, or it's like,
well, I get why people like him, but why do people think he's like, oh, he is my Derby horse, no doubt, like that kind of like, I don't get it.
Honestly, like I had such bad mental flashbacks after his last race, when I got on like social media and people were talking about, man, if I cannot wait till the Belmont, this horse is, of course, they've been thinking it was a 1.5 mile race this year, but it's like Tappet Trice all over again. Yeah. Just wait till he goes longer. That horse is a lock. It's like, no, he's not actually. But all right, last one. I think this is a pretty damn good one for a bubble horse. Is number 8 Chancer McPatrick, who came back off the long layoff to finish second. Him and Hill Road, both right there, finished second and third. 2 Owen Amadi was awesome. But what did you make of the race from Chancer McPatrick? And then further, obviously, what do you think next? They're actually, Chad was like, after the race, was pretty happy with the performance from both of his horses. I mean, he kind of mentioned both the wood and bluegrass next. You'd almost think one goes the other. What do you think of Chancer McPatrick? And I'll even throw in Hill Road a little bit as well.
Yeah, look, I think Hill Road projects better for the Kentucky Derby than Chancer. Now, he's going to need, more points than Chancer. Look, I really like Chancer McPatrick as a racehorse. I just don't think he's a Derby horse. I think he's a one-turn type, a Pat Day Mile. I think he'd look pretty good in that. But like for the game we're playing, bubble horse, can Chancer McPatrick run like third in the wood or the bluegrass? Yeah. Does that get him in? Yeah. So, I mean, if they want to run him in it, I think he'll have the points to get in. That for what we're doing, I would say yes, Chancer McPatrick will be in the field. I bet Hill Road runs well enough to get in the field as well. I just don't think either one of them are going to be good enough. Chancer, I don't think the race fits him. And Hill Road, I think he's that come from way out of it and past hired horses type more than a winner. So, but I think both can get in, but I don't think either one of them are unless they do something that I'm not expecting, which could happen, obviously. As of now, I'm not sure on either one of them for the Derby.
Chancer was very much a little bit better than the Juvenile, but he was similar in a sense that he kind of made it look visually okay, kind of passed some horses and made hey, he's making a little bit of a, got going a little bit late, but here, here's that stride kind of thing, and did a little bit of that in the Juvenile, and then here, and it's like, oh yeah, going next time out or going longer or the mile and a quarter, man, that's whatever, and it's just I wasn't necessarily disappointed. Like, I thought he ran pretty well. You almost left it being like, yeah, he's not that, because even as much as I like to throw shade at Tapit Trice, I mean, look at Tapit, he got the job done in that race, and it wasn't awesome but he passed the horses and got the, Chancer can't get up to the horses. That's his problem. He can't quite get that next burst, the next level to get and pass horses late in these races, the 2-turn races.
It's like I told you after the race, both those horses, I guarantee you, will run much better in their next start. But what does that mean? Yeah. Does it mean they win, or does it mean maybe they just get second or they threaten to win a little bit more? That's the problem. We know Chad Brown horse in the Bluegrass, second off the layoff, we're going to see a really strong effort. But if it's Chancer or Hill Road, either one, does that mean they win this year? Like last year, it's like Sierra Leone. Well, he won the Risen Star on probably 80%. He was that good, but we felt strong going into the Bluegrass. Sierra Leone, he's going to run well, and his best race wins. Yeah. Here, it's like I feel strongly whoever he sends to the Bluegrass will run well, but does that mean they win? I'm skeptical this year.
Yeah, and I kind of like Hill Road. I think he's one that I could see winning like a lower level Derby type race. I think he's kind of got that. If he needs a little bit more time. He seems like he's a little bit more behind than even Chancer at this point. But he did just get to. I mean, he's been with Chad Brown, but Chad Brown's first start with him was the last race, and so I do think having a little bit more under his belt, but he's got the pedigree, and he's like a horse that he doesn't quit. So I could see him running in a lot of big races. He'll probably make the gate, because I do think wherever, I'm just guessing, I think Chancer probably goes to the Bluegrass and Hill Road goes to the Wood, and you tell me Hill Road can't hit the board in the Wood,
Yeah, he definitely can. Definitely can.
Yeah, I don't, and honestly, same
if
with
not
Chancer.
win.
Yeah. I mean, same with Chancer, really.
Right.
I mean, definitely the Wood's going to, or I mean, the Bluegrass should be a little bit tougher, but I mean, hit top 3, sure. I mean, he's classy enough to do it, I think. So, so I'm going to say Chancer, and I'm also, since it's just about Chancer, I think Chancer's in. He's already got 35 points. I don't know. I hope he wins, honestly, whatever in the next race, because I want to bet against him in the Derby.
Yeah, that's a solid, thought, strategy, whatever you want to put it. Because I'm with you. Like I don't know. Like, he could win if he just runs off the screen. We're going to feel different, but I don't think he's one you can back in the Derby unless he really shows us something next out.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. A lot of these bubble horses, like the only bubble horse that we talked about that, well, really, there's two that the 2 out of the 5, what I would say is Caldera and Barnes, that I'm not completely door shut on them. Well, certainly not Barnes. Like, they have no chance to win the Kentucky Derby. You know what I mean? The other 3, I don't. Well, Eastern Avenue, Sandman, and Chancer, I think the latter 2 will get in. I don't like them to win at all. It's so bubble horses versus likely winners are, obviously way 2 different things. Yeah.
And I would add with Caldera, he every race is better than the last. And so are we going to see that again? And if we see that again, will we see it again in the Kentucky Derby? And is that good enough? Maybe, so I kind of get it. I feel like the best is still yet to come with Caldera because that's just kind of the Lucas, kind of how it is,
Well, what will happen is, and you typically don't know it until it does, is that it's going to pop, and then it's going to pop the other way real bad. And it happens with all of them. So he's like Caldera could run. I mean, could win could win the Louisiana Derby, and then run 8th in the Kentucky Derby, and then run 10th in the Preakness, and then you never know. But I do think when they're hot, he runs them, and that's why he runs them a lot. So that's true, Curtis. He is definitely being a little more. We'll see if the last 3 weeks are the same as it's been, but I think they definitely feel like they have a good one for sure. I
know a little bit of the background of my racehorse more than just like the 2,000 owners, and what I can tell you is everybody that was in the inner workings with this horse had really high expectations. So he's kind of running into those expectations now. Those first couple of races were disappointing, but the last 2 have been what they thought he could do.
Well, here's a look, guys. We'll do this, and then we'll wrap it up. But here's a look at the last, as Halterman kind of mentioned, as far as over here in the United States, Virginia Derby, Jeff Ruby Stakes. But really, this is the last 50-point race this Saturday. The rest of them are 100 points out, and then other than the Lexington. So the Jeff Ruby Stakes, Louisiana Derby next weekend, and the next weekend after that, the Florida Derby and the Arkansas Derby. Then April 5th, obviously, is always a big, big weekend. The Wood, the Bluegrass, and the Sandy Derby, followed by the Lexington the next weekend. So after that, it's we're straight up into picking the Derby winner. So hope everyone enjoys this weekend, and good luck. Getting town. Although I will say this, and you guys talked a little bit about it. You and Ryan, I think it was you and Ryan. It definitely feel like, you might be wrong, but I definitely feel like you should go into this weekend or this year's Derby being like, I think he's gonna win. Versus, I picked Tapit Trice, but come on, or even a Taba, where you're like, I just. He's got to continue to run better or whatever. But this one, you feel like if you pick a horse this year, whether it be Journalism or Sovereignty or even Barnes or Citizen Bull or whoever, it's like, that last performance we saw from them, that he's going to win the Derby.
Yep. He's good, and you feel confident they're going to show up and at least run a good race. Yeah. And that'll be the first time since Justify that I felt that way about a Derby pick. And that's sad, but true.
Yeah, for sure. Let's just see if I bet more than $20 on the nose of a horse in the Derby. That means it's the first time I've bet a big bet on a race on a horse in the Derby since Justify. So I of course bet a lot in these on the the different types of bets, but as far as a big win, I haven't done that since Justify. So it's just. It's about what's the common denominator? Is it a guy named Bob Baffert by chance? Or
well, I don't know if I'm going to be picking one of his horses, but maybe. I don't know. Essential Quality I felt fairly good about, but not to the level that I really wanted to feel about one. Now I felt really good the Belmont Day. I felt really good about him, but Derby, I don't know. I wasn't over the moon about him for that one. Oh, thanks. Awesome. Yeah, Talking Track's been fun. Ryan's the real hero of that one. He's doing a good job.
My favorite, we've obviously Ryan has been the mastermind of a lot of them as well on this show of segments, and I think my favorite segment has with all the different segments has been the swiping with the sister or whatever that's called.
If you have not watched that this week, go watch it.
I haven't watched it this week. No,
it is. You need to watch it. It's absolutely hysterical this week.
Oh man, here's the thing. So we do so much content on this channel,
Yeah.
and whether it be from Blinkers Off or you doing videos or whatever, that I don't. You just like I don't want to watch. I'm not. I just don't have time to watch all this.
Mm-hmm.
I make a point. And this is a big. I mean, hopefully Ryan's listening. But like this is I actually want to watch a lot of the Talking Track show. I do.
He's
I
good.
mean, other than the co-host, who's kind of annoying, but past that, I love it. But the breeding guy, like just having those kind of, and obviously Ryan's mannerisms and just how this guy is just beyond happy to be doing whatever he's doing, anything he's doing, he's always happy doing it. And then just the segments are really good, and obviously the sister, the swiping with the sister is awesome, and I'm still trying to swipe on her. He has not given me her number, although I have tried multiple times. But he said, "Dude, you want to stay away from them?" I'm like, bro, that's the kind I go for. So what are we waiting on, son?
That's right.
Like, what's your point?
So, Curtis, we're going to Keeneland. Ryan's going, so you're going to get to meet him this year if you're going for Bluegrass. And yeah, he's a good vibes guy. There's no question,
dude. Man, though, like all you have to do, he could be like, if you bet a horse, like you're the kind of guy that like you bet like the long shots, right? And so like if your horse runs 6 and he's like sort of making up some ground late, you bet your ass that he'll come up to you because if he knows who you bet, you'd be like, well, like I liked, he's running well late, like it wasn't a bad pick. Like technically, it's a pretty good pick, like, and he'll make you feel. You'll leave that conversation being like, that was pretty good.
Yep,
I was right. Yeah.
I've always said this. If I am feeling down about myself, I just call him, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. He is Mr. Positivity 24/7.
Always, no matter what the conversation is about. He is honestly, he's one of a kind. So if you haven't met Ryan, I'm excited that you are going to meet Ryan. So
Yep, absolutely. And he's over the moon happy that you guys are liking Talking Track. Like it, incredibly thrilled. So, and that makes it fun too that it's doing well. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah, well, so it being on our channel now is awesome, right? Because that has changed the game completely. So hopefully, the more we can do with that, the better.
Yes, let's just say that. The channel was on. It needed to be on our channel, and now that it is, it's doing extremely well. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Well, it should. It just needed the audience, so it just needed the eyeballs.
Well, it made sense. I was like, well, we could put it on our channel and we could get X amount of views, or you could leave it there and you could get X amount of views. So it's up to you. I don't care. So, but
all right, guys, that's going to be it for us today. We're get our free picks, of course, over at racingdudes.com. Click the Get Racing Dudes premium button in the menu to get our premium picks. This is the last weekend, guys, to kind of not have a betting Bible, basically, because the rest here on out, you're going to have Louisiana Derby. You're going to have an Arkansas Derby, I suppose, and then you're going to have,
Florida Derby.
We'll have picks. You will not have a prep race that won't have picks for the betting Bible moving forward after this weekend. And then, of course, all hands on deck for the Kentucky Derby betting Bible. So you guys, this is a great time to become a premium subscriber because you will get not just the betting Bibles absolutely for free if you are a premium subscriber at any level, but you also get picks for every single day. So you can go as low as $70 a month. You get free premium picks every single day during that subscription, as well as anytime there's a betting Bible. The betting Bibles, you do 2 of them. You paid for your subscription alone, let alone all the picks you get. So now is a great time to be a premium subscriber. We're on Twitter at @racing_dudes, Instagram and Facebook. You can find all episodes of Blinkers Off if it's in our podcast page, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find us there. Make sure you go to our YouTube page. If you're listening to this after on our podcast version, go to YouTube. Make sure you search Racing Dudes, hit that subscribe, like, and notification button. Join us live for Blinkers Off. every Thursday afternoon and or evening when we talk.
Mm-hmm.
And you can interact with us during the show. Halterman, any final thoughts? Dudes Who Bet Sports. What's new with you guys over there?
Yeah, just you want to go have some basketball talk, and Papa Dude actually making the whole chat mad. You can go to that today. That was a very fun show. He was arguing with Kentucky and Indiana residents about for basketball there is no class. They're all just one big group. Like they're not class 1, class 2, class 3, and onwards. They just do it all in one. And he was telling them that was dumb, and so that was a big fight. He also wants Bigfoot to be real. We learned that. He didn't know what teleportation was, so that was the thing. So he was in rare form. If you want to go watch that, you can.
It's a lot to.
It was a lot to unpack.
A lot of unwrap right there. Part of me is like, I can't decide whether or not to avoid it completely or go listen right now.
During part of it, I was just sitting back like, this is weird.
That's probably how most people felt.
What else? He said something else. It was bizarre. I don't remember, but people seem to enjoy it. They were entertained. Yeah.
Papa Dude was created in the lab. I don't know when we haven't really done a live show in a while. We might one of these weekends when we have a bunch going on. Definitely, I'd say the Derby will definitely do something.
Yeah, maybe.
It just it's we kind of realize that it's fun, but it doesn't really move much of the needle. So it's like if we rather than sitting on the live for 16 hours on a Saturday afternoon, we just enjoy our day and watch them when we want. So
I'll be quite honest, I don't really like them, so I probably won't do them.
Well, there you go, Kevin. Maybe Kevin can fill in for you.
Here's why I don't like them. I like. I just don't. I don't enjoy them.
Why don't you like them?
Because they're too damn long. That's we don't have the people anymore, right? And it's like it's gonna be you and I. We're gonna be sitting there for 4 hours, and then you just run out of things to talk about,
Well, yeah. I mean, Kevin, like during the Derby season, it's not like we'd get 2,000 people in alive. I mean, that was pretty common, but it didn't really. It's great, but it didn't. What is that? It didn't do anything. You know what I mean?
Most people why that number comes in is they think we're showing the race.
Yeah, you got to play the game of how many times someone's going to ask when are you guys showing the race?
It's usually just the same people that are here, plus maybe another 100 or 2, and then 3,000 or 4,000 people coming in and asking if you're going to show it live.
I mean, I think coming live and like watching a race, and then like if we could just get some paid promotions to run to the next 30 minutes between races, and then I can just come back and do the live watch the race, then I'm down. But it's that feeling time between especially on those big days when the time is like 30 45 minutes, it's a lot. It's too much, man. So
and
we have not made money off. I mean, we make some off YouTube, but it's not. It's I mean, maybe enough to buy you a beer at Travers, but that's about it. So
yep, exactly. I don't know, maybe a reaction show once it's over. I think that might be good if you're super mad about something or you're super happy, that might be fun. But
I definitely
about the lives.
I definitely enjoy them though. I mean, it's fun, like being like interacting and kind of talking about your bets, and especially the betting Bible. It's like we got this live, and when we I'll never forget when what was it? Forte came and got Mage in the Florida Derby, and we had that exacta straight, and it was just so stuff like that is fun. But I mean, maybe we could just be on live. We could do like a 24-hour stream and just trade play, and it just be us like working on the computer. I think that's what we need to do. Is like the stream is us making the betting Bible. It's just like all you see is us working and handicapping.
Nobody wants to see that.
That's true. I usually don't wear many clothes when I'm handicapping. So. Kevin might like it. I don't know.
Yeah, she might. I think she would like it.
All right, guys.
Only she gets to see that one. Yeah.
We'd lose ad revenue for that one.
Right.
Actually. So.
Yeah.
All right. Again, next week we really kick things off with the final push. into the Kentucky Derby this weekend, the Virginia Derby. So enjoy the weekend. Still a race that you got to, if you don't bet, you got to watch, see how the picture might play out after this weekend. Who's every time we have one of these races, last week same way, you kind of start to hone in a little bit on the contenders and the pretenders. So we'll find out more this weekend. So again, until next time, I'm Jared Welch. He's Aaron Halterman. Good luck this weekend, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Blinkers Off. Join our horse racing community at racingdudes.com and follow us on Twitter at racing_dudes. Want to make money betting horses? Bet with the Racing Dudes.